Have you ever wondered how the Aleutian Islands were reclaimed during World War II? Located in the northern Pacific, these islands were of significant strategic importance. Their proximity to northern Pacific shipping lanes and potential as bases for air raids on the west coast of the United States made them a prime target. When the Japanese forces captured them in 1942, it was seen as a direct threat to American territory. The Aleutian Islands' capture was more than a territorial loss. It was a dent in American pride, a challenge to its Pacific supremacy. It was a wake-up call that led to a swift and determined response. The American forces, along with their allies, began strategizing, planning, and preparing for what would be known as Operation Cottage. So, the capture of these islands by the Japanese prompted the planning and execution of Operation Cottage. The planning for Operation Cottage began in early 1943. A meticulous and strategic process, the Allies, mainly comprising American troops, began charting the course to retake Attu and Kiska from Japanese control. In the shadows of the war rooms, the strategic minds of the Allied forces dove headfirst into extensive reconnaissance missions. They sought to understand the lay of the land and the enemy's stronghold. This was no easy task, considering the rugged and harsh terrain of the Aleutian Islands. Yet, every crag, every crevice, every possible hideout was studied with hawk-like precision. These missions were critical in understanding the battlefield they were about to step onto. Parallel to these reconnaissance missions, intelligence gathering was in full swing. Spies were deployed, coded messages deciphered, and enemy plans uncovered. The intelligence officers tirelessly pieced together the intricate puzzle of Japanese movements, defenses, and possible counterattacks. This was a game of shadows and secrets, where every piece of information could tip the scales in favor of the Allies. Simultaneously, the logistical mammoth was set into motion. Supplies had to be procured, troops had to be trained, and routes had to be planned. Keep in mind, this was the 1940s. There were no GPS or satellite imagery to guide the forces. Every move had to be calculated with precision. Every plan had to account for the unpredictable Aleutian weather and the rugged, unfamiliar terrain. The planning phase was not just about a military strategy, it was about human lives. Each decision, each plan, each move was made with the understanding that it would directly impact the soldiers on the ground. As the weeks rolled on, the plan solidified. The Allied forces, armed with knowledge and resolve, were ready to face the enemy. They were prepared to endure the harsh weather, navigate the treacherous terrain, and overcome the well-entrenched Japanese forces. The stage was set, the mission was clear, and the Allied forces were ready to reclaim the Aleutian Islands. The wheels of Operation Cottage were in motion, setting the stage for one of the most strategic battles in the Pacific theater during World War II. On May 11, 1943, Allied forces launched their assault on Attu. As the westernmost island in the Aleutian chain, Attu was a strategic gem, deeply desired by both sides. But it wasn't going to give up its secrets easily. The Japanese defenders, entrenched and prepared, met the invasion with a wall of unyielding resistance. This was a battle fought not only against a determined enemy, but also against the very elements themselves. The rugged terrain of Attu was a formidable adversary, its jagged peaks and steep valleys turning every advance into an uphill struggle. The harsh weather conditions added another layer of complexity to the already daunting task. Bitter winds whipped across the island, and the relentless cold seeped into the bones of the weary soldiers. The fighting was intense, brutal, and unyielding. The Allies and the Japanese battled fiercely, neither side giving an inch. The island was a patchwork of gunfire and explosions, the air filled with the roar of bullets and the cries of the fallen. Yet even in the face of such adversity, the Allies pushed on. This was not a battle won quickly. It was a grueling test of endurance, a marathon that stretched over several weeks. Each day brought new challenges, new hardships, but also new resolve. Every inch gained was a victory, every enemy pushed back was a triumph. Despite the heavy casualties, despite the treacherous terrain and the unforgiving weather, the Allied forces began to gain the upper hand. Superior numbers, relentless air support, and devastating naval bombardment slowly but surely tipped the scales in their favor. The Japanese defenders, cut off from reinforcements and supplies, found themselves gradually pushed back. The end of May marked a turning point. The island, once a stronghold of the Japanese, was finally declared secure. The Allies had prevailed, their determination and resilience overcoming all obstacles. They had retaken Attu, a crucial step in the grand scheme of Operation Cottage. Despite the challenges, by the end of May, Attu was declared secure. With Attu secured, the focus shifted to Kiska. The next target for the Allied forces was the other Japanese-held island in the Aleutians. The stage was set for another fierce battle, one that would hopefully result in the complete eradication of Japanese presence from these strategic islands. The preparations were similar to those for Attu. Reconnaissance missions were carried out, intelligence gathered, and logistics put in place. The expectation was of an entrenched enemy, ready to fight tooth and nail to protect their hold on Kiska. The Allied forces, however, were prepared for this. They had done it once on Attu, they could do it again on Kiska. But as the Allied forces landed on Kiska on August 15, 1943, they encountered an unexpected development. The island was eerily quiet. There were no Japanese forces ready to meet them in battle, no entrenched soldiers waiting to defend their territory. The Japanese had evacuated Kiska several weeks earlier. Through a combination of deception and stealth, they had managed to withdraw their forces without detection, avoiding a direct confrontation with the Allied troops. They had slipped away under the cover of fog and darkness, leaving behind an empty island. This surprising turn of events could have been seen as a disappointment. After all, the Allied forces were prepared for a fight. They were ready to prove their mettle once again. But in the grand scheme of things, this unexpected development was still a victory. Despite the absence of a battle, the operation was considered a success. The objective had been the removal of Japanese presence from the Aleutian Islands, and this had been achieved. The threat of further attacks on American territory from this direction was eliminated. The recapture of Attu and Kiska served as a morale boost for the Allied forces. They had faced the challenges of warfare in the inhospitable environments of the Aleutian Islands and had come out victorious. It underscored their commitment to reclaiming territory occupied by the Axis powers and bolstered their resolve to continue the fight. Operation Cottage had far-reaching implications beyond its immediate military objectives. This strategic maneuver was a testament to the resolve of the Allied powers. Their determination to counteract Japanese aggression in the Pacific was palpable, and it sent a clear message to the world. The Allies would not sit idly by while their territories were under threat. The operation also underscored the complexities and challenges of conducting warfare in remote and inhospitable environments. The rugged terrain and harsh weather conditions of the Aleutian Islands presented unique obstacles that the Allied forces had to contend with. This was not a conventional battlefield, but rather a harsh wilderness that tested the resilience and adaptability of every soldier involved. Yet, the Allies prevailed, not in spite of these challenges, but perhaps because of them. They adapted, they innovated, and they overcame. And in doing so, they gleaned invaluable lessons in amphibious warfare and logistical planning. These lessons would prove critical in subsequent campaigns in the Pacific theater, as the Allies sought to leverage their experiences from Operation Cottage to their advantage. Operation Cottage also had significant psychological implications. The successful recapture of Attu and Kiska served as a morale boost for the Allied forces. It was a tangible victory, a clear sign of progress in a war that was often marked by uncertainty and setbacks. This success underscored their commitment to reclaiming territory occupied by the Axis powers and boosted the spirits of those back home who were growing weary from years of conflict. In the grand scheme of World War II, Operation Cottage might seem like a small chapter, but its impact was profound. It was a turning point, a shift in momentum that marked a significant stride towards victory in the Pacific. Operation Cottage was a critical campaign in World War II that resulted in the successful recapture of the Aleutian Islands from Japanese control. It was a testament to the determination, coordination, and sheer force of arms of the Allied forces. They faced adversity and emerged victorious, proving that they were a force to be reckoned with.